Planned Brotherhood is not affiliated or associated with Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is a registered trademark of Planned Parenthood Federation of America, Incorporated. Planned Brotherhood is affiliated with the Noise Beam Podcast Network.
So good until podcasts.
It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. It must have been, it must have been, it must have been a happy time. The sun would shine, the candy bars, Kool-Aid flowing like wine. The comic books, the TV shows, the bubble gum, the kitty cat. I was a time traveler.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 141 of Planned Brotherhood. This one is maybe more exciting for me than the rest of you. Fuck that, you'll love it. I don't like to swear in the intro so much. Nick Stamper, who's been mentioned, name-checked several times on the show, comes to visit. We hadn't seen him in close to 10 years before he came and sat down with us. So that's exciting. Also exciting, Noisebeam, NOIZBEAM.com, twitter.com/PlannedBrohood, brother of all podcasts at gmail.com, or leave us a disclaimer, 206-338-6346. Enjoy the show.
That is one thing about coming to Seattle is every time you guys have a new breakfast place or lunch place or anything like that, and usually it takes like a long ass time to get there, and it makes me wonder first like how you find a place like that.
That was a recommended place. I had never been there before recently. It turns out I had, but I was too drunk to remember. But going there for breakfast last time...
You went there on the party bus, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one bar we got to before it officially
We
broke
talked
down.
about the party bus on the show.
Sure.
Right? Okay. We're acting as if we're actually recording for the show now.
Are we not?
No, we are.
Okay. The disclaimer can come in at any time.
Okay.
Jump on in, Nick. You're welcome. I didn't know if you think we were doing some kind of weird intro or...
Well, this is how it starts organically, and with people wondering in the other room, are they really starting? Is this how it's going?
I haven't listened in a while. Is this what the show is?
Okay, so you went there on the party bus, and it was a disaster.
Right, but then we went there for breakfast just about 2 weekends ago, and it was a flawless outing. The service was good, and the food was amazing, and I don't feel that way hardly about anywhere. And so I was so jazzed to come back, but I knew I was
worth the drive, because it was like a 20-minute drive
out
to Georgetown,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think I've ever been.
That's about all they got there.
Okay. Yeah, it didn't look like much. When you guys were all separating the bill for the credit cards, I just tried to find another bar outside. I was like, I'm going to go to another bar where there's good service and get a shot of whiskey really fast.
Didn't happen. All we had was the farmer's market across from us.
Yeah, there was nothing over there. So we drive out there. It's like 20 minutes. And I had already eaten on the way here because I figured you guys would have already eaten. It was only after we stopped for food.
You know how my Saturdays go.
Well, it was only after we stopped for food that I realized that you guys had stayed up so late the night before and probably wouldn't have gone out. So I didn't eat the food. Was the food still good today?
It was fine. It wasn't as dazzling as the first time out.
Not worth the 20-minute trip and not worth the very slow service.
It's the worst. I mean, it's got to drive you crazy most of all.
Well, I sympathized for her, really. Once I realized Charlie told me, Haley's new husband, Charlie told me that she was the only one there. And I said, well, they have a bartender, right? Because that was, 11 a.m. when I started thinking, I need a shot of whiskey. But he was like, no, it's the same girl. She's doing everything. She was doing everything except the cooking. So, no, I felt bad for her.
Yeah. I gave her a 20% tip.
Yeah.
She could have spit in my face. It's just I always give the 20%.
Yeah, I beat that. I was about 33%.
What about you, Nick Stamper? 20%er?
Usually.
Wow.
It's like you forgot you had a microphone.
Couldn't have been further away.
Well, the show hasn't started yet, right? I tip well.
Do you? I always have.
Regardless of the service?
Yeah, overall, I tip more than I should, but I don't give bad service the same tip.
Well, bad service...
It's a minimum 20% usually.
Bad service when it's not because of rudeness. It's more like today, like the girl was so busy, but she was still really nice. Like, the only reason I tipped, 33%, but that only turns out to be $3 because my tab was only $8. So, but she wasn't rude about it. She was just busy. I've been to places where, like, I go in, it's me, a Mexican wife, and a little kid who's acting like an asshole. And so I can tell that the server's giving us really bad service because they're fucking miserable that we're sitting at their table.
Right.
And that's when I go as low as 15%.
Not me.
But
non-topic. How often have we talked about this exact thing? Probably.
have we?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm interested in it today just because we just came out of it. But I'm just saying that, like you said, as a server, as someone who's in that industry, what do I tip? And if it's really bad service, then I only go as low as 15%.
I think I go 20 because it's easier, quick math for me.
Yeah.
15 seems too confusing.
Yeah. All right. You're right. That's probably a non-topic. I tried to make it something. I'm all high now for the first time in 8 years.
Did you
I'm
take a
ready
hit?
to go. I took 2, man.
Oh boy, no wonder this is going so poorly.
Is it going bad? I'm feeling good.
No, I don't mean to shit on our own show.
Nick's not talking, but
I think that's throwing off the vibe in the room.
all right.
I thought you were excited to be
That's
here.
true. I am excited to be here. I'm just ready to do my spiel.
All right,
All
let's
right.
do it. I'm gonna turn you way up. You can not like don't avoid the mic when you're laughing either.
I just don't want to, sneeze on it.
If we can even get him to
It'd be kind of
laugh.
disgusting.
Scrooge over here. Go on.
Planned Brotherhood is not affiliated or associated with Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is a registered trademark of Planned Parenthood Federation of America Incorporated. Planned Brotherhood is affiliated with the Noise Beam Podcast Network.
So good until podcasts.
I thought it was a cat site.
So I was over at my friend Haley's house. She had a bunch of people over last night.
Oh yeah,
And-
let's talk about
No,
it.
we're not.
Let's
but
get into it.
Shut up. I'm going to talk about the least interesting aspect of the night, which was when I get drunk, apparently I'm into cats, which is totally against what I believe in. Like, I could give a shit about animals, but I was digging on those cats last night.
Yeah. And then trying to figure out where all the hair on your sweatshirt was from.
I was perplexed this morning. I forgot they even had cats.
It's true you hate cats. I would take in stray cats and you would be mortified by them. Be up in your room organizing CDs.
Why do you hate cats?
I just think they're a nuisance. I feel that way about all animals, really.
Yeah, he feels that way about animals, children.
No, yeah. Maybe a little.
Okay, so even if we're not talking about last night, Nick Stamper, I feel bad for you because you came here 2 days ago. Well, I guess I shouldn't really feel bad. I'm sure you had lots of fun.
Tons of fun.
But at first
I'm
I
speaking
didn't.
for you.
I didn't think I was. You came on Thursday, and I didn't think I was going to come till Sunday. Here it is Saturday, and I'm here, buddy. But I won't be here Sunday.
You're splitting as soon as the mics go down.
What have I missed? Like, I literally have not seen Nick Stamper, and I'm sure in the intro we'll have talked about who he is. And
We don't want to get into that now? A little bit?
Well, yeah, I do want to get into that right now. Nick Stamper is someone who I haven't seen in like 10 years. And you found us on Facebook, right?
Yep.
And even though I
Goddamn
know
Facebook.
I've searched you since the beginning of Facebook.
And Match.com.
And yeah, and all of a sudden you listened to the show. You weren't a Jehovah's Witness anymore. One memory I have I have a million memories about you. One, actually, that I wanted to bring up because we talked about it on the previous episode is we were talking about the Starch and Husky thing that Nick Stamper and I did for a video. Now, I remember
A
afterwards...
sketch you guys created pretty much on the spot.
Yeah. Now, I remember afterwards that I got the roles a little mixed up. If we ever find that video, you'll see that in the video...
I have a good feeling I'm going to find it before you leave this
That's
weekend.
great, yeah. We were playing on the thing where we slide over the top of the hood. I can't remember what I said in the last episode, but I remember I was Starch, so I was tall and stiff.
Yeah,
so I just bent over the front of the car. And you were Husky, so I remember you, like, slowly and awkwardly climbing onto the car.
No, we were gonna do it like a Dukes of Hazzard get
Right.
away. And I was just going to jump through the window of the passenger side.
Oh.
But I was so husky, I couldn't fit through the window, so my legs were just dangling out. When he
So
took
I
off.
drove away while your legs were
Yeah.
dangling. That's right.
I forgot how physical this sketch was.
That's right, man. We were
In fact,
dangerous.
was there even any dialogue aside from introducing you?
I remember we were so professional that we had Randy, who was behind the camera doing like the 70s cop show music,
Oh, yeah.
that he was just beatboxing.
We did our own stunts.
Yeah, that was fucking brilliant. But
And
another,
there was a second installment of Starch and Husky when we went to that like Jehovah's Witnesses version of the prom, the winter
that's
formal
right.
or whatever. And we had filmed something else, and then I accidentally taped over it. But I remember doing it.
I
and
remember
you guys
that.
were in tuxes, so it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like you were undercover at a party scene.
the unseen Starch and Husky episode.
Yep.
That's too bad. The other memories I have was when I moved to Yakima. I moved to Yakima when I was 18. We're about the same age. How old are you?
27.
Oh, okay. You're a little younger than me. I'm
Little
29. But I couldn't believe that you had never seen American Pie. Because even though you and I had both grown up Jehovah's Witnesses, I was the guy that still saw a lot of R-rated movies, and
Yeah.
you weren't.
Smuggle them into the house.
And that also plays into the second story. The other thing I remember prominently about Nick Stamper is when Nick Kay had come to town once, and we were cruising Yakima Ave and Nob Hill Ave in Nick Kay's Neon. And somehow I was driving, and I think I had just got my license, and I insisted on it, and I ran a red light or something, and I kept yelling, fuck, oh my, because I was like so scared that I had just done that. And then Nick Stamper asked him to stop using the F word.
Did I really? Yeah. Oh,
Way to
man.
come down
Yeah.
on him, buddy. He was having a bad moment.
Yeah, and I remember everyone just being like, what are you doing? And the feeling in the car was like, Nick Stamper is such a good Jehovah's Witness. Why are you doing that in front of him?
I remember trying to get out to your grandma's house in, I don't know if it, I think it was Nick K's Subaru maybe, and it was super foggy.
Yeah, I remember that
and
too.
we were going like 5 miles an hour, and then we watched Twilight Zone.
Oh, at my grandma's
Yeah.
house? Well,
Yeah,
certainly,
like,
as long as it wasn't rated R, that's what we
Yeah.
were watching.
Funny though.
Yeah, I remember that too. And we were on like the shoulder, almost in the ditch.
We're like, what?
It was
where are we on the lane?
insanely
We
foggy.
finally stop and look out, and we had been driving on the shoulder for
Yeah.
a mile or two.
Yeah.
Phew.
Going back to the swearing thing, we were kind of potty mouth Jehovah's Witnesses as far as that goes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a time when we were 12 or 13, and I would rat you out just to piss you off every time you swore.
Well, I remember being in school telling kids I wouldn't be their friends anymore because they were using so much foul language. And, they were probably fine with that. But I remember just going, I can't be your friend. I remember telling that to Ryan Haight a lot. Like,
Oh, yeah, potty mouth that guy.
yeah.
I was going to say something horrible. Are
you remembering the horrible thing?
No.
He was the guy who taught me how to say Agrippa stuff that I got in trouble and Dad with in a previous episode. And I also remember a clarification from that episode. I remember what Dad burst in the bathroom being mad at me about was that I had gotten in trouble in my art class at school.
For throwing glitter on your teacher.
Someone had glued,
But
and
to be fair, she was dancing around a pole. So.
Ew, she's the last teacher I'd want to see do that.
someone had put a bunch of glue on my desk and dumped glitter on it, so it was all stuck to the glue in this big mess. And she yelled at me for it, and I kept telling her it wasn't me. Why would I do that to my own desk? And but I got in a shitload of trouble, and I backtalked her or something, and she called Dad. And Dad was just furious that a phone call, that something had interrupted his bologna eating. Something like he had to
His
deal.
TNT Van Damme
Yeah.
marathon.
He had to put his pants on and deal with the outside world for a second. And he was like, I don't give a flying fuck who did it. You do not make your teacher call me.
Get a grip on that.
Yeah. Your dad was a tyrant, Nick Stanford. I'm just kidding. Your dad and mom were the nicest people ever.
They're very nice.
And I remember when I started working at Olive Garden and your sister Amanda telling me how much she loved the Olive Garden.
It doesn't surprise me.
I'm going to take that as a slam.
She did talk up the tour of Italy a lot, which is kind of a big meal.
Oh, I've had that once. It's intimidating.
She did like to eat.
She liked
Girls
the
gotta
Food
eat.
Network too. Man, but those were the days. This is when Nick and I moved there. When I followed Nick. He didn't want me there at first. But
I was so intimidated by you when you first. I was like, Randy thinks he's funnier than me.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of personal issues about you all of a sudden being in.
Yeah.
You were Nick, but cooler.
He was the rebellious Nick, kind of, right?
Everybody's gonna like him better than me.
Here's another memory I have of you, Nick Stamper. Was one time you telling me that I was like Nick Allers, but without shoulders.
That's what you told me. How's that going for you? Looks like you've broadened out on your shoulders a bit.
Have I really? I think it's just my weight that might have pushed them out a bit. And I remember when you said that, and I asked you if I should do push-ups or something. And I remember you said, "Well, you can't grow bone."
What an asshole!
Like you basically just told me, like, "Oh, it's a deformity. You can't live with that. There's nothing you can do."
New Nick is not that smart. I wanted to about us when you were talking about when I told you to stop saying fuck. I remember I went to the athletic club. I worked out and I was in the locker
braggart.
room. No, but this old guy's just going around stopping, putting one leg up on the bench and just swinging around. And I get back to the old house and PJ's sitting there, and I'm telling how this old guy is doing this.
Old guy's just, balls dancing around.
And I said his dick's just swinging all over the place. And PJ acted so surprised and aghast that I said dick. He's like,
you hadn't seen American Pie.
You can't say dick. You can't say that word. I'm like, penis? What? Oh.
It's funny. Your brother was my roommate when I first moved into Yakima. We shared that really weird house. The three of us, me, him, and Randy. And I remember I bought Magnolia when it came out on DVD while I was living there. And your brother could not give me more of a guilt trip about it. Like he made me feel like shit.
Yeah, it's although one of his favorite movies is A Christmas Story.
That's true. And there are some Jehovah's
Not that that's rated R, but it's Christmas.
Right.
It's Christmas.
There are some who won't watch it. Although I think that's honestly why Ben was so cool. He was like the rebel who let us watch A Christmas Story. We're 19 years old. We should be getting laid left and right.
Well, what was his problem with Magnolia then?
It was rated R.
Probably thought it was a little ham-handed
Well,
too.
and then-
When he caught it on network
Yeah,
TV.
but
pretentious.
And then one time we went out to your cousin's house when they lived out in the boonies, and watched Aaron Brockovich.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
rated R.
And then I'm like,
and racy.
we're watching a rated R movie. Do they know it's
Isn't it
rated
weird
R?
that like watching Aaron Brockovich was such a? But like I say, it wasn't that big. I feel like no matter how strong Nick and I were ever trying to be, one thing that we would never make a concession on was not watching rated R movies.
That was our weakness.
That was
our secret pleasure.
It wasn't even that much of a weakness though. Like we just
Well, because
we knew that we could not change that.
And Dad had no moral gauge as far as what we brought home from the video store. I remember, and I'm sure I've said this before, but the one time, because he used to give a shit, like when we tried to rent Boogie Nights the first time, I remember he had a shit fit about it.
Because it was about porno.
And he happened to hear that on his drive time radio show that he listened
he
to.
really knew nothing about it.
Yeah, but then he signed off on Kids, I guess because it was called Kids.
But see, that's the thing. So then when you and I moved to Yakima and we're in our late teens, we've already been introduced to Paul Thomas Anderson and Kevin Smith and even like David Fincher. So when his new movie's coming out, what are we going to do? It doesn't matter that and some of them weren't so bad about it. Like Randy, remember we skipped a meeting once and we all went and saw Blair Witch 2.
Of all things, that'll bring demons right back into your home.
We skipped book study, I remember, to go see Blair Witch 2. And he wanted to see it so bad, he paid for both of us because we didn't have any money because we never had money.
That sounds like me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so I guess it's weird that you're into all of it now, and it's really surreal for me to see you again. I haven't had 2 days like Nick to get into it.
Yeah, can we scale this back a little bit? And how long have you been away from the religion now?
No, it would be.
When did you discover you were gay? It's the same question.
Well, that was when I was 5 and I was taking a bath. I'm going to say, well, it would have been 2 years this July was when I was disfellowshipped, but I had been out of it since April, so it's been 2 years.
If you could get more specific, if we could have an actual date.
Even leading up to April, were you
2011
like,
minus 2, 2009.
leading up to April, were you like going to meetings and thinking it was bullshit?
I had been phoning it in for a while.
Quite literally, he would give all his talks from speakerphone.
I wish. I had pretty much ever since I moved to Spokane, because then I wasn't in my old congregation with my family and everything. And it's like
Freedom.
I don't have anybody to answer to, pretty much.
It becomes easier to skip and to not, not go out in service that weekend.
Although
Yeah,
when
I hardly ever went out in service.
When you initially moved to Spokane, though, you lived with Randy, who was still strong within the religion, right?
I lived with Randy and his wife. Yeah, they moved up and they bought a house, and so I was just gonna rent the room in the basement from him.
Did you move there to work with him?
No, he does fire alarm stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. I ran into another mutual Jehovah's Witness friend of ours who's still a Jehovah's Witness, but is still very cool to me every time I see him.
Can I get some initials? Or
it's Mark Krause.
Okay.
Mark Krause is awesome.
Yeah, he's always he'll tell me, like, he'll ask me about things and I'll talk about it a little bit, and he's like, that's cool, man, it doesn't matter. He's like, I'm still doing it, I'm still doing my thing, and we talked about you, but I thought he told me that you moved there with Randy because you were working with him.
No.
So it's just coincidence you moved. What made you move away from Yakima to Spokane?
It's the gradual process.
I wanted to
the
get out
decline,
of Yakima.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
But I honestly, like, we used to go visit you. You didn't go to high school, which is very common for Jehovah's Witnesses, especially
I
in
forgot
Yakima.
about that.
And so we would go to your house. You were working for your dad out of your garage. And
that,
you
my paper out,
wouldn't let me curse. And I
He
just
stocked us with pudding cups. though.
Yeah, I mean,
always pudding cups.
I mean, honestly, in the last few years that I hadn't heard from you, well, I guess if I didn't know you moved to Spokane, I would expect you to, like, show up at my door as an elder in the Jehovah's Witness
Got pretty close,
congregation.
didn't you?
I got close.
Did you really?
Ministerial
Yeah,
servant.
Ministerial servant. I made that.
Here in Yakima?
As if we're in Yakima.
That-
I really
Well,
want.
okay,
That
yeah,
happened
you're
in
right.
Yakima and carried through Spokane.
Okay, it just seems so. I mean, just you working there, I thought you were just a Yakima Jehovah's Witness for life, and so it surprised me that you would even want to get out of that town, because for a Yakima Jehovah's Witness, like, that's the life right there. You got a work from home job that allows you to go out in field service as often as you can. You didn't go to high school, so you're not exposed to the culture that might lure you away from the religion.
American Pie.
And not only that, but you worked from home and you worked for for a Jehovah's Witness who was your dad.
Yeah.
So why leave?
Well, at the end, I wasn't. I had a full-time job, and then I started with the post office, and then I moved out and had a roommate, had like an apartment
In Yakima?
in Yakima.
So yeah, this is after I completely lost contact with you. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, because I was probably still working for the pipe company, I'm sure, when you were there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started the post office in October of
I'm still trying to think of a gay joke because he
6
worked at the
years.
pipe company. I could literally not form one.
2004.
I think that was enough. I didn't even think about that much.
Oh, I handled some big pipe. Let me tell you,
Nice.
See,
48
He's heard them all. He worked in the business.
48-inch culvert. It's hard
He was the guy taking
and
pipe.
ribbed.
do you think Tacoma Screw sells T-shirts? Because every time I drive by that place, I'm like, what a name for a
I
company.
know. It's such a good name.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on. Oh, there's more.
I mean,
you can't stop there.
You were talking about moving to Spokane and when you fell off the religion. I just had a million side questions to ask because I just got to town.
Part of the reason for leaving and going to Spokane specifically, I was able to get a transfer.
Who was your roommate? A Jehovah's Witness?
Now?
No. When,
That would be weird.
when you lived on your own in Yakima.
Yeah.
Who?
D. Rod,
I don't
Daniel
know.
Rodriguez.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll cut it out because I don't know him.
It doesn't matter.
I
Yeah, I
think
mean, yeah. I think he came out along later. But
He
he
came
did,
out.
No, he came in.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I
Sorry.
have a coming out one out if you want later.
Yeah, I do.
What?
Mark
just
that down.
happened?
I heard coming
Of someone,
out.
of somebody, of
Apparently
someone
Nick Stamer
that
has
you
an announcement.
despise as much as I.
Of someone who we know and hate who came out of the closet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay, we'll get back to it.
Yeah, we'll leave that cliffhanger
So I'll-
for first break.
The reason you went out to
Oh.
Spokane.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The Yakima crowd. You know, you've spoken how cliquish it is,
Big time.
and so the crowd that I was with was ridiculous because they would, you know, we go to pubs and stuff. We drink a lot. But there, you know, it's so,
Yeah, a
so
lot of
hip-
hidden
it's so
alcoholism in that
Oh yeah,
religion.
I drank way more when I was a witness than I do now.
Really?
Oh, I towards the end, I was doing a bottle of scotch a night.
Whoa.
Nice.
It was I drank a lot. But for moving from Yakima, I was
You've
tired.
got to forget about all the contradictions and sense making you're making in your head. Somehow.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing, because you could do
True.
something and then someone will rat you out for it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this elder's wife, the elder and his wife were there, and then
Yeah.
she did something, but that just kind of got swept under the table. Oh, I talked to her. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's cheap.
Yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
secret handshakes.
So, but Mark Krause, he did that for me. We had rented a beach house, and I drank way too much and ate some really rich food. So he made this pasta.
that's
and
the
that
stamp
just,
where I remember.
eaten. But I threw up, and then they found out. So I threw up because of that, and they found out.
So they're like, how much did he drink? Well, I'm not going to lie in front of Jehovah. He threw up.
There's no hiding that from God.
but he got drunk, blah blah blah, and so they talked to Mark, and Mark's like, "Oh yeah, I talked to him about it." And they're like, "Oh okay," because he was MS too at the time. I'm like, "Sweet."
Yeah.
Yeah, to have that inside connection. I didn't. In fact,
Yeah.
since we've said his name over and over again, Mark Krause is one of the guys that got me officially busted. Because the elders didn't start calling me because I was denying about all the sex and stuff that I was having. What's this?
Well, hold on. This is not as unintrusive as you might have thought.
What?
Need anything from the store?
Oh, yeah.
No, we're good. I think we're fine. Just
What answer gets you out of here faster?
hey, can you pick up some
Just kidding, can I have some chips?
and some silence and non-interruptions on aisle 5? Just kidding, Kelly.
Warm up a warm glass of shut the hell up.
All right. Well, that was kind of a stopper.
Yeah.
But okay. So you moved out there. There was that. There was lots of things, and you eventually got out of there. I mean, we don't have to dwell on it.
Yeah. Oh, I got out of there. I was sick of them. Randy at the time, he was my closest friend, and so
That's
it's
too
like
bad.
I'll start.
Right.
I'll just kind of get away and just kind of start fresh. And so.
And
that's
so
why I
you
moved out to
guys
Spokane.
moved out there, started fresh, but you still had the love in your heart.
No.
Where? No. So by the end of your Yakima time, that's when you were drinking a lot.
Yeah.
You should have called me up, Nick Stamper. I was long gone by then.
Should've.
Bum you a
I don't know
cigarette.
why.
Buy me
Hey,
a present.
I was semi-selling weed at that
Are
point.
you?
I could have hooked
What?
you up. Wow.
Do I not know this stage of your life?
I used to buy a lot of pot and sell it off to like just my friends, like people who have been on like Sean and the Bee and Sean and the Bee are the same people. And Har, like just whoever wanted pot would. People who are more awkward than me and didn't want to ask anybody, but I still worked in the restaurant field. So
You got
they were
the
like,
awkward pot smoker corner nailed.
they would always be like, "Hey, next time you're buying like like half an ounce, I want this much from you," and I'd be like, "Well, I guess I'm buying half an ounce tonight."
Well, I was talking to Nick about that. I wanted weed in Spokane, but I'm too socially retarded and inept for my upbringing to really have to know anybody like that to score some from.
I got
So
connected with
when
one
he
guy.
talked about it. I'm like, tell him to get more. I'm buying a bunch.
Stock up all you can.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an uncomfortable process, like getting to know somebody to do that. But so I stuck with the same guy, even though I was getting overcharged for too long. And the only reason I stopped going to him is because he quit.
You think you were getting overcharged by that guy?
Big time.
Really?
I mean, the product was always good, but way overcharged all the time. And I never tried to talk him down because I'm not much of a haggler. our friend when we went to the.
Well, I mean, they set the price. You agree that
Yeah.
there's no real haggling a price.
I mean, if I were to buy a shit ton, I get something of a discount.
Yeah, you just got to make sure you're getting what you're paying for. That's the only problem I've ever run into drug dealers with, is if they tell me it's like, oh, it's 15/8, but oh, it's so good, then I'm just trying to make sure I get an eighth. I've already agreed to pay 50.
Yeah, every time he'd pull out, he's like, "Oh, I got diesel today. I got the purple stuff." I'm like, I don't care what it's called.
Yeah.
Just get me out of here.
I had a weed dealer like that who was like, it's $10 more because I came up with a more creative name for it, and that would fucking piss me off.
Anyway, we keep making this about me.
No. Yeah. I just want to.
You just
Say I
you
love
just want to shrink yourself down and walk around in Nick Stamper's brain a little bit.
Kind of a little. The thing is, like, I just. It was just such a shock to see you go from one person to another. And just talking to you through Facebook lately, it's just good to see you, Nick. And it's good to see you on this side of things. Like, I feel like
We wouldn't be seeing him otherwise.
It would be really, well, no, like, I would be totally willing to sit there and hang out with, like, Ben, with Nick Stamper's brother Ben, and hang out. And if he didn't want me, well, I probably couldn't not curse. Well, never mind. That would probably never happen. Because I would want to talk about, like, my views on the religion. And
Although
stuff.
Ben, for one, I mean, I heard him curse a lot.
Did you?
Well, if it had,
It's just
something
funny
to do with his
because, like,
car, we're both. That's our button. We don't
cars.
get angry about anything.
Uh-huh.
But you screw with our car, and we just come unglued.
Oh, I thought you were talking about road rage. You're saying if somebody keyed your car? First of all, who did you piss off in that
vandalize
bar?
or someone. No, well, actually, my '62 Buick, someone shot out the back window with a pellet gun, and then shot a hole in the driver's window, and it shattered it and ruined it. And I was super pissed. I was just waiting out there, just waiting for someone to come by with a BB gun.
Just waiting for someone to come, like an arson,
Yeah,
to
I don't know what I'm like.
return
I was
to the
like,
scene of the crime.
I'm like, I need a bat, knock their head in.
You think they're going to
It
come
took-
back and go, oh, here's that window I broke, baby. Oh, shit, the guy's still here. I shouldn't have come back.
That's what I was banking on. But yeah, it took 6 months to find replacement windows. So
I could see that being infuriating. Sure.
it was, yeah, it's not
You know.
an easy thing to fix.
That's also because, like, you and your brother would buy the, humongous old 1960s cars.
Yeah.
You were big into that.
You had the pink, right? The Mary Kay.
It was a Camelot Rose metallic on the bottom, white top,
Yeah.
4-door hard top.
This isn't car talk, guys.
I almost just bought a 1974 baby blue with white leather interior Mercury Marquis
I was telling him about that, yeah.
that my brother test drove with me, and I agreed to
I hope
buy.
it comes with lifetime supply of condoms.
But then the guy refused to take a check from me, so I told him I got to wait till the bank's open, and by that time I had changed my mind. Because
Yeah.
the windows didn't roll down.
I knew it was going to be impulsive if you did it, but when I was in the
Not
passenger seat for that test drive, and we got a little lost, so we had like 10, 15 minutes behind the wheel, and I wanted you to buy it so bad because
Yeah.
it was so ridiculous.
If those
I love
windows-
eyesores.
If those windows would have rolled down, I would have, without even him asking for it, paid twice as much money as he was asking. Because I loved that car so much, but the windows
sounds
didn't roll
beautiful.
down. And I'm too lazy. I'm too lazy to fix that.
Remember?
Plus, he's just a liar. I don't like buying cars from liars. From people who
do
say,
it for 15 minutes.
from people who say, oh, it's got 57,000 original miles on it, but there's just not enough digits to go to the 1,000, and they're
can't-
not willing to admit that it rolled over. I don't like that. I don't like liars.
Yeah.
I almost bought a 1978 AMC Matador that is, the only color I can think to describe it is ugly ass orange from a dealership. And it was the same deal, 78,000 miles, and he was telling me that's it. That's original. And I was like, but you don't even know. You just said some guy traded it into you. Like, it's 178, if not 278, and it rolled over, but they just lie. They think you're dumb enough not to realize.
Yeah. I mean, that thing would have to be mint to only have
Yeah,
that many
and it
miles
wasn't.
on
It had wear and tear on it. And that's what I don't like, is these fucking liars.
Well, there's fools out there you can take advantage of, so.
I still think I should have bought that Matador now, because I see it driving around town all the time, and it seems to be running just fine.
Hey, Cars are like women, right, guys?
Somehow.
Eventually, you got to settle.
Nice.
Once they're not good until they hit 80. Like you gotta.
That was the grossest approach you could have taken to that subject.
I like my women like I like my oatmeal, quick, easy, and covered with facts about dinosaurs.
That's brilliant. Is that a Nick Stamper original?
No.
I shouldn't ask.
No.
I like that when we
I saw that on there.
our friends Kelly and Margaret were buying jewelry at the farmers market. We were just hanging out by the outhouse, and then a joke circle broke out. Like you guys started telling traditional setup punchline jokes, and we don't have to go over them now. But I don't think people do that enough, especially people our age.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of the shock value ones, like the
Go ahead and tell it.
best thing about fucking 25-year-olds. Wait.
There's 20 of them.
There's 20 of them.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Like, well, okay. I gotta remember a joke this guy told me at work.
The anticipation alone.
Yeah, I can't really remember it. It's something terrible, and it involves the N-word, so I probably shouldn't tell it. Anyway.
let's not go that route.
Yeah, okay. So let's not go. Okay, I thought you were going to say, let's hear it, and I was going to tell it anyway.
You have the NAACP
I'll
on
of
you.
course cut this out, but a little behind the scenes fact: I have to cut out the N-word because PJ says it every episode. That used to be his opener for the show, just yelling it as loud as he could.
It has made it through a couple episodes, and I was not happy about it.
It's just a word.
I feel like you were quoting something. It was fine.
Yeah.
He's the next Chris Rock.
I am the next Chris Rock. I was going to say something, I forgot. Sorry.
You are making this a hard edit.
Well, it doesn't all depend on me, does it?
No, of course not. But you're the one that started this. But he's like, I have a million questions.
Oh, well, I mean, I do.
Yeah, let's put it back on
I
Stanford.
have a million more questions.
Still in the
All
hot
right.
seat. Look at him shaking too.
I mean, it's just interesting to me, and as Kelly in her bright sunny demeanor pointed out, that it's not going to be interesting to everybody else. But no, I mean, I guess that's it. We Nick and I moved to Yakima. You were very Jehovah's Witness. You were the most hilarious of the bunch, except for Rob. Remember Rob?
Rob.
This is
yeah.
not interesting to anybody else.
He
but
was punny. Yes, he was.
I,
Very much.
I saw him at Red Robin. He's still very obviously Jehovah's Witness.
That's too bad.
And now you're back, and now you're just one of us now. You came to the dark side, so
Yeah.
you're never gonna find yourself feeling guilty about it.
No.
What do your parents think? What did your parents say when you left the religion?
They were very upset.
Did your sister ask you to go have a tour of Italy and talk about it? That was so mean-spirited. But it was just a callback. That's the only thing about it. I did not mean to be that mean-spirited.
If you make the breadsticks into a cross, you can bring them back into the religion.
You know what? I saw your sister just a few months ago at a restaurant, and she was beautiful. She looked great.
Ooh. That's even worse.
I just remember she was always a precocious little kid, and that's what she seemed to me now. She was just still a cute kid.
She's full out adult now, probably, right?
Well, Nick wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They don't talk to
She
him.
was born in September of '89, so
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
That is insane.
She can drink.
I want
Although
I want to
she
drink
is
with
one
your
of them,
sister.
like Ben, that went with you to Canada.
Uh-huh.
Both of them, when they turned 19, they went to Canada. Wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, because Jehovah's Witnesses, that's the one gray area.
Well, it's legal here. It's the
This is
law
drinking.
of the land.
Yeah. But okay, so what did your parents think? What did your parents say? How'd you break the news to them, or did they hear it through the grapevine?
Well, of course, it was a text message.
No.
I'm just about to lose my mind. Did they hear it through the grapevine?
No.
Nice. Perfect response.
They were extremely upset, very emotional. I pretty much just called and told them that I'm disfellowshipped, and
So it was made official pretty fast?
Well, I never would meet them, so it was
Same
drug
here,
out.
yeah.
But I completely cut ties. I moved out of Rennie and Emily's place
That's the first move, yeah.
at the end of May, like May 29th, I think it was. And after I was out of their house and moved, I never spoke to anybody. And nobody contacted me. I think Emily text me once to
This was
invite me.
our old roommate Randy, who
His-
you moved to Spokane. Oh,
yeah,
we
his
were
wife
saying.
Emily. And she had texted me to like invite me to
Memorial.
parents of a friend's house for dinner that we all hung out with. But that was the only contact I've had with them.
And how do you feel about that?
And your
It's-
parents, so your parents were devastated, and did they tell you
They
this is it? We're not going to talk to you anymore.
well, we both
That's kind of a
we
gray
both
area
knew
too
that.
when it
My
comes
older,
to family. That
Yeah.
gets disfellowshipped,
yeah,
right?
we all know what you have to do. My older sister had been disfellowshipped, so we'd already gone through
right,
the
I forgot
ordeal
about
of a
that.
family member, and she
I
had
forgot you had an
and she had
older
a kid that my mom watched. So there was
That's right. Little,
forced
little
contact.
Josh or something. He loved
Joshua, yeah.
dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a smart kid.
What's he doing now?
He's
Paleontologist?
started at high school, I think, this year.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, he can get his permit soon, I think. But anyways, they were upset, and my dad, the one word that he would say that just pissed me off is he's disappointed in me.
Sure.
Yeah.
That just always
That's how they get you.
Yeah, that's a push button word right there.
In any connotation, I feel like I'm disappointed by your parents. Want, want. Meanwhile, mom's saying that with a box of wine tucked under her hand.
So yeah, and then my mom said that because I said I'm disfellowshipped and I'm not coming back, and my mom said that she wished that I had just disassociated myself with it. Like that's any better? I'm like,
Right. What's
you
the
still
difference?
couldn't talk to
That's
me.
the status thing. It's like, it's
Like-
almost. Do you agree with me when I say it's like, I wish I had a disassociated son rather than a disfellowshipped son.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, disassociated would sound worse because you're just making that decision. It
Yeah.
isn't reduced contact because you committed
That's
a serious
true.
sin and weren't repentant of it.
It wasn't like you were found guilty. You just pleaded no contest.
Yeah.
You're a lawyer, right? Am I speaking your language?
This is a pro bono case, right? I don't have any money. That's what that means, right?
Yeah, that's just crazy stuff. Sorry if I made it weird.
No.
Very convincing.
He's been very open about this. I like you've missed out. That 2 days you weren't here.
I have missed out on a ton.
I'm bored. Everything he says, I'm like, heard it, Nick Stamper.
Well,
Maybe I should have waited.
It's glad to see you.
It's glad to see you indeed.
I'm referring to myself in the third person and not as a person. It's glad to see you. It hopes you can stay for dinner. And thanks you for being on the show. Quite frankly.
Thank you for having me.
If I can wrap a button on it.
I must admit, I always wanted to inflate my ego. I'm like, are they going to talk about me on the podcast? Like, yeah, they mentioned me.
Yeah,
It's
here
awesome.
we go.
Yeah, you got name dropped a few times.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure of it. Nothing too offensive, right?
Oh,
I should
no.
think.
What is there bad about to say about me?
This is
Well,
just,
you've never seen The Usual Suspects.
I don't know if you were actually wrapping
That
up
is true. I
the
only
show,
saw part of it.
but if so, I got a quote from this video footage of you guys and your stupid sketches that I find myself saying. I'll give you a scenario, and I say this because of you, Nick Stammer, not having seen you in a decade. Whenever PJ's daughter, Sophia, sometimes if I'm sitting on the couch, she'll climb up behind me and get on my back. And my favorite thing to do is stand up and say, I got a monkey on my back.
Do you remember that from the video? Yeah. It's one part of the video where you ask
Set the scene, PJ.
Nick Stamper, hey, say congratulations to Barry or something. And I go, hey, say congratulations to Barry with me on your back. And I climb up on his back. And he goes, hey, I got a monkey on my back.
Not funny what he said. It was all the delivery.
The
It was
most
all the
quoted
delivery.
line in the history of that video.
No, that's not true. The Taco Bell drive-through part of that video, his last name is Cox. That's the tagline.
That doesn't
That's the
even
one
need
on
a
the poster.
backstory.
Nope.
His last name is
His
Cox.
last name is Cox.
Or how Rob he would tuck his arm inside his shirt sleeve of a short sleeves shirt, and he'd go through the drive-through and act like he just had a stump and was trying to grab the change with his stump. He's like, I got a stump, and he'd say that.
But he's not swearing, So that's not offensive, I guess.
he also had the great. He had a dream he was a car muffler and he woke up exhausted.
And he always told Butler jokes with his cheesy Butler voice.
I remember once Brady LaBeouf going. I figured this was all outtake material anyway. But Brady LaBeouf
Put it up there just in case.
saying he wanted to go to Clear Lake, and Rob goes, "I can see clearly now. We're at the lake."
That guy's got to be a secret stoner.
We went camping and we talked about milk for 45 minutes.
So did we last episode.
I remember his 21st birthday, and he brought a bottle of hot damn cinnamon schnapps to the house.
That's a very inexperienced drinker type drink.
I remember going, BJ Buddy, this is going to burn you.
Remember how we do shots of lemon juice in the old house?
Lemon juice.
Yeah,
Just to get super jacked up.
I don't know, to see who could take the most lemon juice at once or something. But I remember Nick,
man.
he would clink his teeth every single time.
I still do that. I still do that.
He would take the shot starting 3 feet away from his mouth.
Don't attack me for my overbite.
It's not your overbite, it's the over bring the glass to your face.
You can't shrink teeth, Nick.
That's not a ceiling system.
Fight to the finish. Fight, 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 fight. It must have